Welcome to episode 45 of PuckPod by BD Sports. I'm Ryan. I'm here with David and Christian. Christian, how was your week?
It was pretty busy week, honestly. With all of this sounds so stupid because I still consider myself a kiddo, but with all the kiddos going back to school this month, I start to get more of the shifts from them, like at my job. And so I've been working a ton more. I know Dave's been working a ton too. We've got some academic expensive to take care of in the
Near
recent
future.
and in the coming months. So just grinding away at the part-time dead-end retail job. And in the meantime, watching my Leafs, watching my Jays, who Dave's representing, and really that's about it. Just a grind of a week.
Dave, what about you?
Ditto. I'm gonna keep it short and sweet. Literally, me and Christian might have had the exact same week. I think the only difference is that I played I played slow pitch, men's league slow pitch all summer. We made it to like the quarterfinals and we got eliminated. It was a double elimination. So we had a double header last week, went 1-1. Then on Thursday we had a doubleheader again. We won the first game, so we kicked out the team that we played there, and then we got kicked out in the second game. We got kind of brutalized that second game, but it was a good year. I can't even lie. First year on the team with like all of those guys. I think it's our team's second year in existence, but I think the plan is to join back again, to sign up again for next summer. And it's honestly it's a great time. Like, I know it's only slow pitch, but honestly for like the hour and a half that you're out there and you're just like chilling with like the guys and stuff, it's a good time. And it's also like it's crazy to see because like guys in our league have been playing in that league for like 10 years. So
You have the dads and the cops and stuff?
Yeah. It's like it's cool. Like there's one team that they're made solely of people who work at the keg. I'm not too, I would assume it's the keg that's close to us, Christian,
Yeah.
but I'm not too like 100% sure. And it's just so funny because like they were really, really good, supposedly like last year or 2 years ago, but like people on that team left because they left the keg, you know what I mean? And now it's like, they got new people in and they had to like fill a couple of spots, so they're not as good as they once were.
They're rebuilding.
They are a rebuilding team. I think we've got a pretty good shot next year if all of the guys come back to make a deep run.
Dave coming off the Rookie of the Year award, right?
Yeah, I was
only get better.
I was hype man of the year. I played catcher all season.
Let's go.
But what I was really good at was drawing walks for the boys and also being the hype man on the bench. I love doing that.
Beautiful. So very valuable. Very valuable.
Right. How about you? I know you experienced some stuff this past week.
I did a lot. I went to the courthouse on Friday.
Justice Brian or Justice, is it Justice Brian or Justice Wong? Because I'm thinking of Judge Judy.
It's Justice Wong technically.
Justice Wong, okay.
But it's really hard to be a judge in Canada. Like I don't even know if that's what I'm going for, but like man, the amount of work it takes to be a judge is ridiculous, and rightfully so, right? Then on Saturday, I went to a powwow, like an Indigenous powwow for the Truth and Reconciliation Day. And then I also went to the Fort William Historical Park, which is kind of like a reenactment of like 1815. And it was pretty cool because you got to see like the British side and the Indigenous side. Like they redid both, right? And it's really interesting. Anyway, I just wanted to let you guys know that this is episode 45. So 4 or 5, and this is season 2 of PuckPod, right? Mikael Backlund signs 4.5 for 2 years with the Calgary Flames.
Okay. How long did you have that one ready to go? Did you come up with that one like the moment the contract was signed, or?
I came up with that like as I was talking about the Fort William Park, because I had like my notes and I had it lined up with the episode we were on. I was like, oh,
okay,
that's funny. Work.
So you saw the acrostic poem of numbers. You're like 4, 5, 2. Oh my god, perfect. That was perfect.
I wish I planned that one out though, but 4.5/2 and captaincy. How do you guys feel about the deal? Because I'm a fan.
I'm a fan. I'm like, I probably lean more towards meh than I do like that's a great deal. I think he's probably what, 35,
Think
36
he's
back. He's spending his entire career there.
yeah.
I would assume he's in that age range. 4.5 by 2 is a pretty tame contract. Like it's not going to kill them, especially because with the captaincy, he's going to be providing value just in the leader and like leadership in the room, even if his on ice production falls off a little bit. But I think this is you can't look at anything but a win for the Flames, who haven't had many wins this offseason. They literally signed no free agents of note. And all we heard about the whole summer was everyone who wants to leave next free agency. So to keep one of them, that's a start. And to name him your captain, that's also good. I know Flames fans are definitely happy. So a good deal.
Dave?
So I'll be honest with you. I think it's closer to a really good deal for the Flames. And it's not just going to be in terms of like the on ice product that they're going to get. So hear me out. Last year, the biggest thing going against the Calgary Flames was they had a lot of friction between team, guys on the ice, and their coach, right? So they got rid of the coach because during the, I believe it was during the season, there was multiple trade requests. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Mikael Backlund was one of the people of note that handed in a trade request like mid-season to basically say it's either us or the other guy. So getting rid of the other coach, bringing in, I believe it's Ryan Huska now as the new coach,
Yeah.
new GM, Kevin Conroy. It's Kevin Conroy, right?
Craig Conroy.
Craig
Conroy. Why do I keep thinking Kevin for some reason? Craig, I'm sorry, Craig. I don't know. I'll send you a gift basket in the future, hopefully. But Craig Conroy, Ryan Huska, management is going with, the new regime. And what better way to start up the new regime than signing the guy who everybody thought would be the captain? It's been a couple of years since their last captain was did Chucky ever wear the C after Giordano?
No. It would have been Giordano was the last one. Yeah.
Right. So, they've been captainless for a while. Mikael Backlund's name was always in the mix, but you also had guys a couple of years ago like Gaudreau. You had Kachuk around. There's probably some other names as well. Lindholm's there. There's definitely
Anderson,
names.
Tanev.
But Mikael Backlund
Tons.
has kind of been like the backbone of the team for the past, I think it's like 10 years at least. So for me, this is going to show that this new management, the guys that are in charge, are team player and not team whatever they want to be. This type, getting Mikael Backlund as captain is saying like, listen, we heard your frustrations last year, even though we weren't in charge at that point to fix everything. We're gonna do our best right now to right the situation, and I wouldn't be surprised if getting Backlund as captain really gives the Flames a shot in the arm to start this season. And I mean, listen, all 32 teams have their own stories. I think I don't know if there's one team that I could say definitively that's like you've definitely got to tune in. They're going to be a must-watch story. I think you can make that point for all 32 teams. But I think for the Flames, for all the turmoil that they've kind of gone through, I'm still not high on them, but I would watch out for them over the throughout the month of October. Let's say for the first month, let's give them a look.
For me, I absolutely love this like signing it and even the captaincy thing. I think it shows like that they're trying to set the culture of like if you stay here, we'll reward you. And Backlund's been there his whole career. What is it? I think it was like 16 years or something ridiculous like that. Legitimately from day one of Calgary Flame till now, and he finally gets to see on his shirt. I don't quote me on this, but I think Backlund had like in his career last season was his best. I know he had 56 points, but there's a good chance that 56 points was his career best at his oldest age, I guess. But people would think that he's phasing out of his prime. Also, keep in mind, this is on a Calgary Flames team that, wasn't that great last year. But if he's putting up numbers like that, it shows that he's going to inspire the rest of the team and do well in that sense. Dave, you said that Calgary is a team that could be watching that we might need to watch out for. Maybe this is the spark, and I like where you're going with that. Do I think it might be? Do I think Calgary is going to be a playoff team? Probably not, but hopefully they need a win, right?
Well, last year, like it's funny because last year for as bad as they weren't out of it. The biggest problem last year was I think they had like 17. I think it was 17 like extra frame losses. So that's shootout and overtime losses, which is frankly ridiculous, dude. And they missed the playoffs. I think it was like by 2 or 3 points. So it's like even if they go 500, if they go like let's say 8-9 in those 17 losses, they're in the playoff spot, right? They kick out. I think they would have kicked out Winnipeg, if I'm not mistaken, for like the extra
for the last spot, right? Yeah, and like it didn't help to have 2 goalies, like 892 save percentage. That's probably the big thing too, right?
Yeah,
but yeah, it's like there's a lot of good pieces here still. Like just the names in isolation. We had this conversation. I at least brought it up about Vancouver last year. Right? I look at so many players. I'm like, I like that guy. I like that guy. Why isn't it working? And it's the same thing with Calgary. You have to wonder how much of last year was just kind of a mutiny against the captain of the ship. Daryl Sutter, and now new captain, actual captain, is the player Mikael Backlund, to rally the troops to end the mutiny. Okay. So yeah,
let's give grades. I'm gonna give this an A-. I'm a fan.
I'll go B+.
I would agree with the B+, especially because they're taking off. I think it's like a full mil. He was on 5.3 before, so
a big difference.
You're getting $1 million in cap savings there for your new captain. I'll give that a bit.
I think he is 34. I thought he was 36, but he's 34. So you get him.
So it'd be 36. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I think hopefully, the goal is in that time by 26, they'll have their next leader, whether that's Huberdeau, whether that's Kadri, whether that's Matthew Coronado, for all we know. Like, who knows who's going to be the next one to step up. Now, in 2 years, what Conroy and his crew need to do is identify the next. I'm not even going to try. I keep forgetting.
I saw that.
I saw you smile, and I was like, I'm not even going to try it. What they need to do now is identify the next player to take over. They have 2 years now to identify where their culture is going to go. I think they have, 24 months set to say, okay, Backlund does it this way. Do we want to keep it going this way? Who will be the next player to fill those shoes? Like Calgary's a storied franchise. Like they've had some great captains, like Jerome McGinley, top of my list. Like, who do you want as a captain on your team? Like Iggy's got to be up there. I would say top 5, like greatest captains, especially.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, never won a Stanley Cup, but like you want Iggy on your team, right? So. They're a storied franchise. They've got a. Sorry, pardon, Brian.
Let me just say this. Like, okay, so when we did our 90 10s earlier this year, you were the one that said that's the 50% chance that Calgary sells. Does this move in the sense that like giving captaincy to Backlund change that for you at all? Like, are you still?
No, I think 2 things could be true. I think that they could. Not be a great, like I think they could be deadline sellers. I don't know, maybe this is just the stopgap captain for them, basically, right?
Potentially.
They know he's kind of already near the end of the road. If it's not age already, it's kind of like telling by only signing him to 2 years, which I think is a pretty smart move for a guy that's 34.
Right.
I think, so like I said, I think 2 things could be true. I think they could gel under Backlund, but I don't know if they're good enough to also kick teams out of a playoff spot. Like, I think the Pacific is a pretty strong division right now. Like, who are you kicking out of those top 3 spots? And then also it's kind of a toss-up right now for the Western wildcard spot. So,
right.
Yeah, well, I guess we'll see.
So while we're on the topic of Calgary, I know we got other extensions too, but while we're talking Calgary, might as well say, not, I was gonna say shout out. It's not really a shout out, but pay respects to Chris Snow, the assistant GM who
Yeah.
passed away. I think he actually passed
Right.
away this morning that it was announced. Assistant GM with the Flames for a long time. I know, like even Brad Tree Living put out a statement like on behalf of the Leafs. He passed away from ALS, which is something like for Leafs Nation, they became pretty accustomed with ALS after last year was Stallman. Same ordeal. I think Chris Snow passed away at 42 years old, so like really, really young. And obviously, this guy touched like so many people in the community because we've been hearing about his story the past 2 years, and he was honestly like still doing his job for a long part of that journey. So, just respect to him and his whole family that they can heal.
For sure.
Well said. Well said. Okay. Well, staying on Calgary, I guess they have a goalie that didn't really do too hot last season, but we all know was a great goalie in Jake Markstrom, and another team that had their goalie hurt recently, well, is going through surgery, is Andrei Vasilevsky of the Tampa Bay Lightning. You guys see the rumors of this? Did you guys see anything about this?
Yeah. Well, I think like right off the bat. So okay, so they said that he I believe he aggravated. I don't know if he aggravated. He picked up the injury in August.
Talking about Vasilevsky.
About Andrei, but yeah, I don't know. Did we mention that
we didn't even name drop him yet.
I don't even know if we name dropped him.
He who shall not be named.
Yeah, scary talk in Leafland. Yeah, I don't even want to mention him by name, but Big Bull. That's a humongous blow for Tampa, especially considering they don't have much behind them. Like, I don't think Brian Elliott's the backup anymore, right?
No, he's still a free agent. It's Jonas Johansson who.
Oh,
no,
yikes!
It's Jonas Johansson. I only know about Jonas Johansson because I think he was part of like that. Remember that Avs team that like really, really sucked. That was the year before they got Makar. Like I think he played some games then. He played some, and it was bad. Like he's got like I don't think he's got a 900 career save percentage.
We lit him up one time. I think we played them twice. He was in net for one of them. I think we shelled them like 9-3, if I'm not mistaken. And if I'm not mistaken, they left them in for all 9 because they were going through their own injury problems at the time. He's a good third string backup. If you need a pinch, sure, he's probably not the best option there, but I don't know, like what type of value you getting as a third goalie.
I just pulled up his stats. He's never played more than 10 games in the season.
Yeah. So
that's a big loss.
He's not it. I honestly like I'd probably go with like Alnefelt over him. Like that's another guy they have in their system. He's like their Syracuse crunch guy. Like I'd probably just give him the shot on a long stretch. Like I'd keep Johansson as the backup and put Alnefelt in games. But the question is like, are they gonna just go with that as the tandem, or are they gonna try and get like a stopgap while Vasi's out? Because I think it's 2 months, right? We're looking at about an 8-week timeline. They need to get someone.
That's close to a quarter of the season. That's a quarter of the season right there. No.
And I'll tell you what, like this is the wrong division to be, slacking to. Like you have 2 hungry upcoming teams in Buffalo and Ottawa looking to take that 3rd spot. I think this injury definitively knocks them down to like 3 of the division, like definitively. Boston, Toronto, 1 and 2, obviously, but we'll see.
Well, that's another thing too. Like, who knows what Boston's going to look like? But maybe this helps their case for them to get a playoff spot. Like, I think I'll put this into existence, but if the Leafs ever wanted to win the Atlantic Division,
like this
ever in their life, this is like. I know you want to play all the teams in your, you want to be the best team in your division, but also at the same time, like, just like win it, like just go through it. Like this is your time to do something.
Like all the stars align for this, like this season for you guys. I guess.
Well, dude, you look at like if we're gonna look at it, like you have 2 of the monsters in ball. Actually, 3 of them. If we're gonna go back a couple of years and count Chara, but 3 of the monsters, the boogeymen in Boston have retired. There's still a couple there. So and that being Bergeron and Krejci just retired. That team, I think we could definitively say looks a lot weaker than the 65 team, 65 win team that we saw this past season. So they should obviously take a step back. Now you have this injury to Tampa.
Florida doesn't have a blue line.
Who knows what type of Sergei Bobrovsky we're going to see, because Sergei Bobrovsky's either an 850 or a 950 goalie. Like there's no in between there.
The flip side to that is they have Spencer Knight back, so he might be the saving grace behind Bobrovsky, but still, like you're missing Ekblad and Montour, you're missing your 1 and 2 defensemen. There's no excuse for the Leafs to not be the class of the division, like you're saying. 100%. We're getting ahead of ourselves on Leafs talk, though.
We are.
So, 100%.
I mean, I think we covered everything Vasi-wise, unless you want to throw in Leafs-wise. Martin Jones, everyone's just pegging him in as a Tampa Bay Lightning. We'll see.
There are stopgap options.
Yeah, people have even thrown out like Vladar. But I don't really know how they make that work cap-wise when Vasi comes back, right? So, honestly, maybe they just sign Elliott back.
Probably.
On a league min. Like realistically, all they need is somebody who can play
I hear Harry Sateri is available.
Yeah.
There's just one more thing I just wanted to bring up with Tampa. So ever since they lost that final to Colorado, it's been like slow. It's like a slow fall of the empire, if that makes sense. They lose the final to Tampa. They lose Andrei Palat. That's the first like piece to go. Then they lose to you guys. Then you see Killorn go. Vasilevsky is injured. Then you see the Stamkos drama. A lot's happened since they won back-to-back cups. Maybe this is the end. Maybe this is them being pegged down slowly. If that makes sense.
I feel very confident saying this is a down year for them. Is it the full-on descent? I'm not willing to say yes to that until after next offseason, because they're going to have a lot of flexibility if they go a different direction with Stammer and just the natural growth of the cap. Like they're going to have the ability to pivot in some ways. And we got to see what Julian Breezeball does with that money. If he stands pat, brings back Stammer, and it's basically just the same team, you might start to question, okay, is this stagnating? But honestly, if they falter this year, maybe there's bigger moves, right?
Right. I think it's a fair point that you brought up, Brad. The only thing I would argue against it is that they have their core for the future locked up. Braden Point signed long term. Cernak signed long term. Sergachev signed long term. There's another piece. Sorelli is signed long term as well. That's 4 guys that could do damage. Maybe none of them are the level of let's say a Kucherov and a Stamkos. Now, will Tampa not win a cup for the next whenever their time is? Who knows, right? Like we don't know, but I would bet my bottom dollar I would never bet against Andrei Vasilevsky. This is an injury where if he recovers well, this season, like Christian said, might be a down year, but next season he could come right back and be a 935 goaltender. Like I would never count Vasilevsky out. And
sure as well can.
You could cover up a lot of cracks with a Vezina winning goaltender. Like Andrei Vasilevsky, when he is at his peak, can single-handedly win you a cup. I would argue he could get you to a conference final one hand tied behind his back. Like the guy's ridiculous. So I'm not I won't be as quick to mark Tampa as a team that's fall in. They are falling though. I think they need to stabilize in order to move forward.
I got one thing here, just from looking at the roster. If I ask you the question, what Tampa Bay Lightning has to have a bounce back season, like who are they counting on the most to bounce back from a disappointing season? What would your answer be? Just based off of Hagel. Well, you know what? Hagel actually had a really good year. He had 64 points, 30 goal season.
Did he?
But if he's better, they will take that.
Mm-hmm.
Think trade deadline, right? Who did they get? Who did we clown them for getting?
Tanner Jeannot.
So
Forgot
Tanner
about
Jeannot had 18 points in 76 games, only 6 goals. Okay, not good.
Yeah.
I honestly think I think you guys will agree with me here. The player that they need to bounce back the most is Anthony Cirelli. Do you know how many points Anthony Cirelli had last year? Granted,
50?
in 58 games. So in 58
50.
games, how many
Okay,
points did
so
he have?
Probably
if
30.
you're bringing it up, I'm gonna say like 25.
It's about right. 29. So he was
Yeah.
0.5 points per game. He was a 40-point pace player. I think he was definitely like injured. I think that's why he missed games, right? So you give him the benefit of the doubt in that season, but this season he's got to come out and he
Showtime.
has to be the 2C, like big time be the 2C, 60 points, put up the Hagel production because he's making Hagel money, 6.25 million until 2031.
Yeah.
That's the contract that really will hit them hard if he doesn't produce. So that's the guy there. That's the guy.
Okay. Let's
Well,
talk
listen.
about.
Sorry, last thing to that point. Sorry, Brian.
We love Tampa, Brian.
I'm
We love
sorry,
Tampa.
Brian.
That's a lot of Tampa.
But listen, you mentioned it too. Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of drama with Stamkos. Like, if anybody is gonna want to step up across the next couple of years, say the Stamkos stuff does actually go sideways. I don't think it will, but there will be a point in time when there won't be a Steven Stamkos on the Tampa Bay Lightning. Anthony Cirelli is probably going to have to be the guy to end up making the next jump after that. How many other guys are behind him that could take that jump to the 1C, basically? So I think you do actually bring up a really good point there, Christian. Now, considering he probably had some injury issues if he only played like 50 games, hopefully that doesn't continue for him. But I think that's a solid point to make there.
Okay, let's move in.
Done.
Let's move off of Tampa finally. That's not we shouldn't wait too long on that one, but it's okay. That just means a little bit less time for Marcus Foligno and Matt Zuccarello, who both signed extensions with the Minnesota Wild. Bill Guerin gets 2 of his veterans locked up. Marcus Foligno for I think it's 4x4, and I think Zuccarello is 4.125x2.
So the first thing that comes to mind when I looked at these contracts, not comes to mind, the first thing I looked at, and what I do now for basically any extension that comes through, is look at comparables, contract comparables, because Cap Friendly's got the great feature where you just press compare this contract, and it'll give you a percentage match to those deals. The Zuccarello deal, there's not really a great match when I pulled it up. I'm just going to tell you who the top comparable is. The top comparable for Matt Zuccarello in his age 36 contract extension for 4.125 times 2 is the deal that Nick Foligno signed this summer, which is 4 million times 1. This is to tell you that there's not a good match. Like, this is not a contract that gets thrown around, which is interesting. I did find that interesting. If I had to come up with a comparable, I think it's kind of like a Pavelski light contract where he took, I think he took 5.5 by 2 or by 3 with Dallas, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I think of here. And Zuccarello is definitely like Minnesota's Pavelski, the closest they've got. This guy is, like I said, he's 36, but he plays their top line. He is the Kaprizov whisperer, right? He is his sidekick. I think this was tidy business on the Zuccarello side of things. The Foligno side of things, not as much. 4x4 is a lot for Marcus Foligno. You can like what he brings because he brings, I was going to say intangibles, but honestly, it's not. It's all on the ice. Sometimes he brings you too much on the ice where it's suspension-worthy hits and stuff, like the bunting conversation. But he doesn't really give the offense that you need at 4 million, 4x4. I guess Guerin thinks that he would have had that contract on the table in free agency this year. So if someone's going to pay, it might as well be him. But we got to remember too that Minnesota. It doesn't. It doesn't. That's because they got all the dead money tied up in the Suter and Parise buyouts. I don't know if the Foligno contract's the smart one. I like the Zuccarello deal a lot. I'm not so sold on the Foligno deal. Not at all.
I think the Zuccarello deal is a very good comparable to the Pavelski deal because you kind of have like 2 guys that are being compared with their whole careers as well in Robertson and Kaprizov, and obviously Pavelski is just a little tad bit better than Zuccarello, which is why he probably got paid more and such. But no, I do like the Zuccarello deal a lot. Foligno deal, it's expensive and long, and I don't know if it's sustainable. But I will give Bill Guerin credit. You reward the guys that are like live and die for your team.
Mhm.
I do think that Marcus Foligno is an alternate captain off the top of my head.
I was about to ask, is he the C or because I know Koivu had it, Mikko Koivu had it. Is Mikko Koivu still on that team?
Spurgeon.
Dude,
Yeah, dude. Honestly, he was forever. He was there forever,
Yeah.
man. It's Spurgeon, though.
It is Jared Spurgeon.
Yeah.
You're right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But he is an A.
A.
Foligno does got an A. Yeah.
Good for him.
He's 32 though, man. Like this is gonna take him to 36.
But let's be honest, in 2-3 years, or let's say 4 years, will that $4 million cap hit look the same as it does now? It'll look like a
True.
2.7.
It's
Let's be
true.
honest.
I think
So-
I think they're gonna get if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure Minnesota is gonna get some cap relief in the near future with the buyouts. I'm pretty sure like some money comes off either
Takes like a
next-
dip, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's either next year or 2 years or a couple years from now. So maybe by the time the 4 years is up, with the cap going up, plus also cap savings from the buyouts, it'll
Yeah.
probably look a lot more manageable. But I think both of these signings just spell a little bit more Minnesota mild to me.
Which we want them to get away from, man.
Yeah,
I'm-
yeah, 100%. You have potentially one of the most electric players in the league, and I completely understand why they do some of the things that they do because they're hamstrung of previous Minnesota mild mistakes. But also, do you have to also make deals to make you more milder? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I like the
Yeah.
Zuccarello one because I've been a fan of Zuccarello since he was on like the Rags and stuff like that. Like, you know, he's still a serviceable player. The Marcus Foligno one does probably make less sense, especially for $4 million. If they're getting him at 4x4, if they offered him like 2 years, does that mean his numbers at like 6? Does he think he's worth 6? You know what I mean? Like you couldn't
Yeah.
like narrow the years down. I guess, like you said, I think it was Brian that mentioned like reward the guys who have been there, and I'm totally for that. Sometimes though, there are some players who might not need to be rewarded, even though they provide you, you know, they provided a lot of service time. The thing
Fair
is, like,
statement.
for Bill Guerin, like you're gonna be there longer, probably. Hopefully, you want to be there longer than Marcus Foligno is there. Does
I got
signing
two. Sorry.
finish up. Does signing Marcus Foligno potentially put you on ice in the future? That's like
It could
sure,
come back
yeah.
to bite him. You're right.
It could
Yeah, I got
Was it-
two little pieces of trivia here
go
for you guys to
go for
answer.
it. I love it.
I literally this didn't blow my mind because when I saw it, I'm like, okay, I remember this. How many teams has Matt Zuccarello played for in his career?
Rangers, Wild.
Was he on
yeah,
the team
this-
before? Was he on the
If you're
team?
gonna, if you're
It's-
saying,
Was he
Yeah,
traded
you're
at the
saying-
deadline before?
He was. He played 2 games for this team in the regular season, then played 13 playoff games for this team. This is like, it's like I have no recollection of this until I looked at it. 2018-19, traded from the
Okay.
Rangers to what team and put up 11 points in 13 playoff games for this team.
I don't. For some reason, I want to say the
Something so
Ducks, but I don't think it's right. I don't think it's the Ducks.
It's Western Conference. I'll give you that, Western Conference. Give you guys one more guess.
Brian, you can take your guess, dude.
oh my, I don't. I honestly, I don't know.
Think
I actually have
about
no
other
idea.
players. What players did we mention in this conversation about Zuccarello?
Dallas.
Yeah,
Was he?
Yeah.
He was on Dallas. You know what?
Yes.
I kind of remember,
Right?
like vaguely.
I don't
it's
remember
so
that.
foggy though, right? It's so
Yeah.
foggy. He played
No,
2
I don't
games for
remember
them,
that.
and then I remember he got injured. Everyone's like, "Oh my god, you broke Zuccarello after 2 games, Dallas. What the hell is wrong with you?" Then he came back in time for playoffs, and he was gross. He was awesome for them. I'm trying to think. I'm pretty sure Pavelski would have been on that team too. So they had
I think
Pavelski
so.
and Zuccarello, right?
Yeah, that would have been the
So,
year
yeah.
before they made it to the finals.
Yes. So this is the year before COVID. So you know what?
Okay.
Actually, I looked it up. Pavelski was
I don't
still on San Jose that year.
On San Jose, yeah. I was about to say I don't think he
So,
was there
yeah.
because he signed for the COVID season. Huh?
Yeah. So that was interesting. The other one I had is Foligno trivia. He's played in 28 playoff games, all with Minnesota. How many goals has he scored in 28 playoff games?
3.
Yeah, I'm gonna say like 2.
Yeah, two.
Okay,
So
yeah.
and this is a guy you would think like playoff guy, like that's the guy you
Yeah,
want
yeah.
to see
Maybe
come
that's why they're
playoffs.
keeping him around. It's not.
And yeah, no, that's like a pure Engvall stat line right there. So just another little tidbit. Okay, that's all I got.
All right.
Okay, I'll tell you what. We just went a quick break.
Yeah.
Okay, we are back from our break. Let's get into my favorite team, the Capitals. Not much has happened, but enough to where we should speak about it. Joel Edmondson, our recent acquisition, gets hurt and is out 4 to 6 weeks and does require surgery.
That's tough. It's a tough look.
It is.
What was it like? Upper body, lower body? Do we know what it was?
Hand.
Ooh.
Hand broken. What, broken finger? Something
I'm
like that,
not too
probably.
sure off the top of my head.
Okay.
Yeah.
Broken
So-
appendage.
So the storyline with this though is kind of interesting in the sense that like, do you guys remember how like 2-3 weeks ago, or maybe it was last week? I don't know.
I think it was
It's all
last
blurred
week.
to me. Yeah, because Netsov, opened his mouth and was like, mind you, this is a translation from Russian, so we don't know the context and expression. behind
Honestly,
it.
bro, I think it's been corroborated that like he kind of went off in that interview. Like I think
Yeah,
other
well-
reports that came out and
Dude,
said
some of the
he
sentences,
went off.
some of the
man.
sentences he was saying, I don't know if out of English, Russian, he could have been speaking like, I don't know,
Yeah.
hieroglyphics. I think it would still
You
kind of
know
be
what
like,
you know what it is that gets lost in translation with like all the different languages? It's like the jokes and like the phrases, like
the dry
Yes.
humor, that type of stuff.
yeah, stuff like he's like going up a mountain and falling into like there's just stuff like that, just random stuff. They're just like, what the hell is that? But really, it's just like total
Yeah.
regular speech in another language.
That didn't sound like any of that to me. From what we read
Yeah, I
last
know.
week.
All that to say, no, nothing lost in translation. No,
I'm pretty
But
sure
loud
the
and
line,
clear.
I'm pretty sure one of the lines was like, I did not like the former head coach. I was like, I don't know if that could really
Well-
get lost in
No,
translation.
that's a figure of speech, Dave.
Yeah.
That just means
Well,
that you're
Hate means
homesick.
love in Russian.
We-
That's
we
my
don't know the
bad.
passion
Sorry.
and- we don't know the passion and intention behind it. But
Yeah, you're
one
right.
thing he did
Yes,
say
yes.
to a fellow Russian, Alex Alexiev, was you would be foolish to think that you'd be anything more than a 7th D-man. Okay. Well, because that's if you're wrong. If he is now
Now
Alexiev,
his-
by virtue of promotion,
will
and
be a
handednness,
sixth.
He's now 6.
6D man.
Let's go.
Yeah.
And okay. Alexiev's been in our system for a while. He was our first round pick in 2018, the year we won the cup. He was like the last pick in the first round. And I remember when he got picked, like this is the most Capitals pick ever, like Alex Alexiev, right? And it's time for him to finally get his chance in the NHL. He's come up a bit. He's shown that he can play. And he's played in Hershey for what seems like a lifetime and a half, right? But I'm kind of glad in the sense that he gets to play, but I also kind of wanted to see Edmondson in a Caps jersey. And it's unfortunate that we won't get to see that for a while. What I will say this as well is there's going to be a lot of internal competition for that last demon spot. Obviously, there's Edmondson, Alexiev. Lucas Johansson has said that he wants to make a push. And we also have a right-handed guy in Vincent Iorio looking to make a push for a final spot as well. Iorio a little bit less likely given the fact that he does shoot right. But the rest of them, it's like a free-for-all at this point. And we got to see about that. Another interesting storyline in Caps land is Backstrom. I don't know if you guys have seen any highlights recently, but he's been good. Like, I'm talking like 2018, 2019, good. And it's really happy to see. I kind of thought that his career was kind of washed after the surgery, given how, no players ever made the comeback from having the surgery. But, he's my favorite player of all time. So it's nice to see him get a nice, good start to the season. Another storyline that we have that's a little bit going under the radar is we have a line with chemistry now. And this could be probably the best third line in the league. It's Sonny Milano, Dylan Strome, and Matthew Phillips, the guy that we picked up from Calgary.
Yeah.
Matthew Phillips is impressed. Okay, he does everything.
I want to ask you about him. Yeah.
He does everything well in the sense that he touches the puck well. He knows where he's going offensively. The caveat with him is that he's 5'8".
They got.
been
I've got
undersized.
his. I got his measurements here on Cap Friendly. They got him at 5'7", and he
Oh.
weighs 140.
Oh
That is.
my God! Tell the guy
I've
to
got.
have some
I've got
extra
15
chicken. Oh my
pounds on
God!
Matthew Phillips, and he's in the
Start
NHL.
carb
Man.
loading, buddy. What are you
But
doing?
Yeah,
he knows what he's doing. Like he's good.
Yeah.
Like, he's just good with
Yeah.
like Strome and what's his name, Milano. Like they have internal chemistry between the three of them, which is kind of fun to watch. It's one of those situations where I didn't expect this to happen. I didn't expect Matthew Phillips to, almost guarantee. I'm not gonna say guarantee his job, but it looks like
He'll get a shot.
Yeah, he looks like he'll make the team.
Two things. His past 2 years in the AHL, 2021-22, 68 points in 65 games. Last year, 76 points in 66 games. So he's been phenomenal in the A.
That's Matthew Phillips?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. He got 2 games with the Flames last year, the Daryl Sutter Flames. Zeros across the board. We'll chalk that up to some Daryl
sounds
Sutter
like
stuff, maybe.
Yeah, especially if you were in so many tight games. It sounds like, someone you might have been willing to use, him and Matthew Coronado. Was it
Pelletier?
Was it, oh, Jacob Pelletier. Well, yeah, now they have Coronado, they have Pelletier coming up. It was Pelletier that was the one that he
what number is he?
Yeah, what number is he again? Yeah. What an asshole, dude. Man. What an asshole. Good for you guys for giving Matthew Phillips a sign of life, basically.
I think he can. I think he's gonna do some damage this year. Honestly, just based on what I've seen, right? I know it's preseason, and I'm the guy that always says preseason doesn't matter. But just seeing the chemistry that these three have, they might be the best third line in the league.
For somebody like him,
Brian. Okay.
Yeah. For somebody like Phillips, Brian, I think the best thing you could get out of him is him playing a consistent year. Like, I don't think point totals for a guy like that should be something to look like. Whatever. If he puts up
be a water bug, just be flying 20 points.
If he's there in the lineup and he's regularly just being himself, being a water bug, exactly like Christian said, I think that could be chalked up as a W. But I do have one thing to ask to kind of like compare. Alex Alexiev looking like he's got to make the step up. There's another, I could be getting this wrong, but I'm trying to make the comparison to a Leaf. Christian, you might already know. I feel like I'm going to screw this up because I completely forget which year he was drafted, but there's another D-man on the Leafs who needs to make the jump right now. He's right-handed.
Liljegren.
Yeah.
Is that you,
Is he 2018 or is he 2017?
He's got to be. I actually think he's 2017 because
Sandy was the year after
Matthews. Yeah.
Okay. So point still stands. For those two guys, for Timothy Liljegren and for Alex Alexiev, there is an opportunity right now to take your spot in the lineup, to claim it. Timmy last year, he had his spot, he lost it. Alexiev, did he have a spot for?
He was our seventh last year.
He was just seventh last year.
Played 32 games.
Yeah, seventh.
So I mean, he got a lick. 5 points, 5 assists in 32 games. 16 minutes a night. Like, he got a lick, but he didn't grab it and he didn't hold it.
Yeah.
It was probably in the back half of the year too, after the deadline, when you guys shipped people out, right?
Lost everybody. Yeah.
He was the Gustafsson replacement. Actually, that's what it was. Actually, well, and then you guys took Sandin too. So, before we go to Leafs, I have some Caps questions too, because I'm looking at your roster here. On the Phillips thing, the comparable I just thought of is probably Tyler Ennis. Like, there's your 5'7" tiny guy who made a career out of.
I swear they're probably the exact same. I think they're the exact same measurements. 5'7", 140.
That's the prototype there.
The player comp for me, like, not in terms of like size or whatever. It's just Brett Connolly, like, in the sense that, like, I want a guy that just does his job, cycles the pucks, works hard, and plays on the third line and gets maybe 30 to 40 points a season.
Dude, Brent Connolly is one of those underrated, like, bottom of the lineup types of guys that anybody in their right, like, anybody trying to make a playoff push, and like a cup run, would love to have. So if Matthew Phillips is like half of what Brett Connolly was he on your the cup winning team? So
Yes,
if he is like even half of Brett Connolly, like at his peak as a third line, water bug, then that's a solid pickup for you guys. So
I also
the other player I want
to
to ask about was Miroshnichenko.
Oh, yeah. So Spencer Carberry did an interview about Miro Miroshenko. I can't pronounce his name now. I will when he makes the.
Let's call him Miro. Let's call him Miro.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Miro was told by Spencer Carberry, don't think too much about systems. Don't think too much about cycling. Don't think too much
Just
about
fucking score.
No, he just said just get a
play
feel
your
for
game. Play your game.
Exactly.
Okay. All right.
And
I
that's
like
what I
that.
want. I'm a fan of that because of the fact that Miro is a high-end skilled talent player. He shows it. He just needs to get a feel for it a little bit more. And do I think he needs a year in the AHL? Probably. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But I'm getting like Verana vibes. Like when Verana first came up, he has promise, and he just needs his time to just gel in and take the year and spend it in Hershey and then come back up after.
Are they going to give him the 9-game look to start the year?
I don't think so, to be honest with you. But at the end of the day, we have a deep team in the sense that like it's going to be hard to compete for a right wing spot on this lineup.
There's a lot of locks on the team right now. There's not a lot of spots up for grabs. Yeah, I could see that. So that's pretty good.
Brian, first impressions of Carberry though? What are we thinking in preseason? Like different? Do you notice like anything different system wise, or just from Temple, or is it still like too early to see that?
It's definitely different than Lavio.
So. Yeah.
It's early. I want to say that, but I do feel like with the sense of the Caps this year, like I said, with the team as a whole, there's a little bit more to play for. Like they want to play for this guy in the sense that with Laviolette, sometimes you're just a little bit disappointed to watch Capitals hockey. At least now there's a bit of a spark, and it's always going to be good because last year was not fun.
That's all you could ask for. Is just be entertaining, even if you're not good. Yeah. At least be entertaining.
Be in the race for a little bit.
Yeah.
I also just wanted to say this, like, I think that the thing that's going to make or break our season this year is goaltending. Like Kemper had a good season last year, but this year I want to see if he can maintain that going forward, because like we always say, like goaltending is usually the straw that breaks the camel's back or keeps it afloat. So we'll see.
Yeah. Who do you guys have sorry, last thing. Who do you guys have in relief for Kemper?
Charlie Lindgren.
Okay, so it's still Lindgren. All right.
And our third is Shepherd, who got lit up by Detroit a couple nights ago.
Yeah, I mean,
talking about that guy for a while though, Brian. Come on, he needs to make the jump. No,
he's a good player. I'm sorry, he's a good goalie, but I don't know. He hasn't had a good showing preseason, but whatever.
Yeah, how old is he? 23?
He's old. He's like 26. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because I was gonna say 26 is probably around that time when you want them to start making the jump. So maybe we'll see some time out of Shepherd this year. Hopefully,
we'll see.
Hopefully he does a good showing.
Let's get off Caps. Let's go into Leafs. You guys can take over. What's the main big thing of the Leafs recently?
Well, it's probably I would say it's probably the guy who's not going to be on the team.
Yeah, it sucks, man. I'm mad about this. I'm just like literally mad. Well, see, me and Dave, I don't know. I'm thinking of two people. Dave,
there are actually two names. Like, so my original one was Easton Cowan, just because he's still playing game. Supposedly, I heard that London has kind of asked for him back. Basically, they're like, okay, we know he's not going to play. I guess London hasn't got off to a hot start to their season, so they're kind of like, we're actually playing meaningful games right now in the O. We need our best player or one of our best players back on the team. But he has impressed. I will admit I haven't watched every single game as I would have liked to. But it's also preseason at the same time, so it's not really meaningful. But what I have been able to catch, I've been really impressed with Easton Cowan, especially for a guy who coming into camp probably had like a 1% chance to play in the AHL this year. Like I think it was always guaranteed that he was going to go back to junior. But it's really good to see someone who's young and hungry trying to make a lasting impact, even if it's not for this year, but it's maybe going to be for next year, 2 years from now, 3 years down the line. And I know the second player in your mind, Christian, I'm going to assume it's going to be the guy that you were, like the story that you're thinking of. Connor Timmins is the second coming of Bobby Orr. And I think like, I think this preseason's proving it.
That's
He
an
has 6
understatement,
points.
Dave. No.
Yeah. He has like
Preseason
6
Bobby Orr.
points in like 4
Christ.
games or 3 games.
2 games.
2 games. Oh my God. He is Bobby
Yeah.
Orr. He's not even like
Yeah.
that's not even a comparable. Like he actually genuinely is Bobby Orr.
You know what's funny is there was a player who I was really hyped for on the Leafs. A lot of people actually, I think, were like they fed into the hype for this guy, and his nickname coming into the year was Finnish Bobby Orr, Mikko Lehtonen. This was going into the bubble season. People had so much hype for that guy. So when I hear anyone like Bobby Orr, that's who I think of. But I mean, no, like Timmins was really good in his first game. 2 goals, 2 assists. He had 1 goal. I think it was his second, which he just absolutely like pile drived it home with a clap bomb from the blue line. It was just gross. It was nasty. It was the exclamation point on his night. I think that was at Joe Thornton Community Center up in St. Thomas there.
Dude, I got a
What a
question. I have a serious question. Is Joe Thornton like, I thought he wasn't even like, I don't think he's technically retired yet. Is he not? Like, how are they giving him the, like memorial things? Like the guy's like in his 40s. Is he
might have just donated?
Yeah.
Yeah, he might have just donated to the like the arena or like I don't know.
He's from there, and I wish he was in attendance though. Like I wish he was doing
well, they should have. He's not, what else is he doing?
Us, right?
Is he going? Like, I guess mowing his lawn.
He's probably like he probably has like no cell reception. He's out in like just on a lake right now or something. But I guess he probably wouldn't show up because it's the Leafs, and he knows he'll just get questioned like about everything. Where have you been? What have you done? Are you coming back? Are you retiring? What team? Like all this stuff.
I guess.
So I guess that makes sense. But back to Timmins, like they were trusting him in different situations, even just outside of the usual Timmins stuff. So more than just power play, playing a lot of even strength, like led the team in time on ice, I'm pretty sure. And he was even doing some penalty killing because it's preseason. Just see what you got there. And all signs were pretty good. I think there was 1 goal where he was torched in his first game he played. I think, it was the very first game of the preseason against Montreal while we were recording. And in that one, he got torched on 1 goal. But overall, like, it was looking good. And we had Klingberg who went down in a game too. So he was going to come up and he was going to be the Klingberg replacement. And we don't really have timelines for either of them yet.
If I'm not mistaken, it was a non-contact injury as well, which might be even worse for us, the fans of the team, especially because, if he's going to end up missing time to start the year, like that's a real tough look, especially for a guy who not a lot. I would say expectations on John Klingberg are probably at the lowest they've ever been. Like even like, that move to Minnesota midway through did not do too much to pull his reputation out of the toilet. And then starting, you're on a pay as you play contract. Like this is potentially one of the last times that he could sign something long-term in the future. And immediately you're kind of going down with injury. It's just such a tough look. But like I said, for guys on the right side, Timothy Liljegren, Connor Timmins, guys who were looking in last year, now is the time to step up. I don't care who it is. Opening night, it could be John Klingberg could be out of the lineup, and Connor Timmins and Timothy Liljegren draw in. I don't care how it looks. Just take the spot. You have the opportunity now to take it. And I know that's a lot easier said than done. But trust yourself, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Like, you have the talent. There's a reason why you're on this team. Like, we know that you have the talent to be there. So kind of just show it, basically. So,
yeah, the right side is like just totally question marks right now. Total question marks. I don't know. I feel like it's got to be Liljegren who steps up. But I was talking about this all off season before we had like news on Keefe. My whole thing was I didn't have too much faith we'd see like a really like evolution of Illigren unless there was a different coach. And I'm kind of still worried about that. I haven't really seen anything different from Illigren. It's preseason, so that's always the preface. It's preseason. But I don't know. I really think there's got to be some type of move there. I will say in the one game I did see of Klingberg that I was at on Monday. This was second game against the Senators, the only home game they've played so far, the Leafs.
Hey, where were you sitting?
He was really
that
good.
game?
Dude, I was literally front row. I was front row and it was fantastic. That view, I sent it to you guys. That was like phenomenal view. Shout out to my buddy who took me to that game. He got his tickets from his work. And he didn't know that they were that good until like a couple days before. He had thought the tickets were in the 200s. And then
Still great
we know
tickets. Either way.
Listen, I've gone to a preseason game in the 300s, paid $40 for tickets to see like Tavares in his first preseason game. Like, give me a seat in the building, I don't care.
Yeah.
But that was awesome to see. Like, basically every single TV commercial break, Tyler Bertuzzi would take a little skate around in our corner. We're just like, oh my god, it's Tyler freaking Bertuzzi. So that was awesome. 10 out of 10 view, 10 out of 10 experience in that sense. And the Klingberg scouting that I did there, like he actually looked pretty good. I actually like what I saw. Defensively is a different story. I don't know.
He's we're not playing him. We're not getting him to play defense.
But I think he had like 7 shots, and he was really throwing it on net. Like he's a really fluid skater. Like I actually think that people are maybe underrating him a bit. Like he walks the blue line really silky smooth. I talked about it last episode. Like my comparable is Tyson Barrie, but without the expectations that we had for him. You know what I mean? Like we were expecting Tyson Barrie to take the load off of Morgan Riley and be like a number 2D. Yeah, no, that wasn't happening. And I don't think Klingberg has those expectations, so he shouldn't really like feel the pressure like Barrie did. But that's where I'm at on him. On Cowan, because I don't think I even spoke about him yet. I'm trying to think of like the comparable for him. Honestly, the first one that came to mind was like Braden Point, like smaller guy with an absolute motor who gets to the front of the net still, even though he's small. That's where he scored his only goal. It was literally like, the Tampa patented power play goal where they kick it. It'll be at the point, fake slap shot to Stammer or to Kucherov, and then they'll throw it in front, and Braden Point will like on his knee. It'll be that one timer in the slot. That's how Easton Cowan scored, basically. That's what it reminded me of. Cowan's really impressed too. He's got edge work, like insane edge work. On his he had a breakaway attempt in the game I was at, and just the edge work that he put in to keep his momentum while receiving the puck so that he wouldn't be slowed down and get caught by a defender. It was really, really clean. That guy's 18. Like, that's crazy, man. Absolutely crazy. Shout out to Easton Cowan. Shout out to Fraser Minton. He's been gross
Fraser Minton's been playing pretty well as well. Dude, if Easton Cowan even turns out to be like a quarter of Braden Point, like
the W.
Awesome.
Wow.
Yeah. Listen, I don't think I'm not expecting 50 goal Braden Point.
No shot.
I think Cowan is more like a great complementary middle six type. He can play center. He can play wing. He could probably fill in a top 6 role in a pinch, but he's probably like an awesome third liner. Like I was gonna say Cal Yarncroke, but a little bit more higher end than Cal Yarncroke. Yeah.
Somebody who just scores
someone that everyone would love on their maybe like I was gonna say Hagel, but even then maybe that's a little too high. 50, 55 point getter, just maybe a Bunting is a good comparable for like production. Something like that. Nyes has been one of the biggest stories too. He's just basically just taken off from where he left off last year. Thank God the concussion didn't really affect him. I think he had a quote. He said he was cleared for game 6 if it were to happen. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I was happy to do that, and he's backed it up. Yeah, I know, right?
That's very like for us, like hearing that, it's very fortunate news. As much as I would have I don't know, like back if we were to take it back to that point, would we have I might have said, like, if that game 6 ended up happening and that decision had to be made, I might have said, like, maybe it's wiser for them to just keep him out. Just because I don't know how
It's like
tough.
remember we had Andreas Janssen come in for game 5 against Columbus and he
Yeah.
sucked.
Yeah,
Remember that?
you just don't know what you're
Yeah.
gonna get. Like he
Yeah.
might be cleared to play, but is he gonna come back and have the same impact? What if he
Yeah.
re-aggravates something? Giving him the
Too
2
young to
months,
take that chance.
yeah,
Especially
giving
it's
him
a
the 2 months
concussion
off.
too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I want to see Matthew Nice at the peak of his powers at 32, 33. I don't want him not being able to play by the time he's 25, right? I know that might be like, oh, but what if they made it to the conference final? But I would rather, have him for a long time, suffer in the short term and prosper for the long term. And you probably just don't want to do something with it, especially for a guy that's like 19 years old. So I'm glad that everything is okay on Matthew Nice front, because my God, is he gonna be a fan favorite? I think
I'm buying his jersey.
I think I might as well too. I think like genuinely the guy is so electric. He's a big reason why I'm excited to watch regular season hockey, because we've seen, listen, I will never stop, like I can't get enough of like a patented Austin Matthews wrist shot, a signature Mitch Marner saucy dish. I'll never get like tired of them. Even like William Nylander flying
zone
around
entries.
the offensive zone, dude. When William Nylander picks up the puck from the neutral
he's
zone,
honestly the most electric, man. Like I think I'd rather, like, if I had to choose which one to watch on repeat, like a Austin Matthews wrister, Warner saucy dish, or like Nylander rush chance. I think it's Nylander rush chance #1, man. Honestly,
it's really good,
fun, man.
But man, now you're throwing like Nyes and his. I don't even know like what type of style. Like we don't even know what he's fully gonna bring, because I don't even know if we
just
fully
being a big dude in the corner and like stick handling in a phone booth and just power moves. Like he's like a Matthews light, man. Like he really is. He's both guys from Arizona, and he took some influence from Poppy over there.
Yeah.
I actually, one more thing on Nyes.
Yep.
I wrote about Matthew Nyes and I made some comparisons. I'm like, okay, way too early talk about contract extensions. And I brought up Jake Sanderson. And I'm like, for Matthew Nyes to have a Jake Sanderson rookie season, he's gonna have to drive his own line, put up like 50 plus points, and be like really good 200-foot player, which means penalty killing.
Totally doable.
And I basically, but I said, I'm like, there's no chance Matthew Nyes is penalty killing, and that may still be the case. But Matthew Nyes is penalty killing in the preseason, and he's got a shorthanded goal, and he's looked pretty damn good, and he's been blocking shots. Like he's shoving that down my throat. Keith and Nyes are like, oh yeah, I bet.
Yeah, I think I don't know if by game 1 is he going to be on the penalty kill. Probably not, but I would imagine by game 40. Game 30, game 40, when some of those guys who have a lot more experience in their legs, by game 40,
he'll never be on the first unit.
Yeah, that's going to be dog days, like the dog days game 40 to 50. Look out for Matthew Nyes on the PK. Now, I got a question for you, Christian. What are your first impressions of the other 2 new signings probably the marquee signings that we made in Tyler Bertuzzi and Max Domi?
Yeah. I would honestly leave my impressions as like incomplete.
Mm-hmm.
Domi, I'm more impressed by his playmaking than like his scoring ability. He did score. He had that breakaway goal coming out of the box. He's a little undisciplined though, man. Like he's got that bunting, like that energy that needs to be reined in by Keith.
Would you say he's like his father?
Yeah, I mean, that's probably a better comparison. Yeah. So I'm gonna still say incomplete. Like I still need to see more of Domi. I haven't made my mind up on him yet. We've got a whole season to do that either way. Bertuzzi, it's even more complete. I don't know. I felt like the guy hasn't had many touches, honestly. Like I really haven't seen him do much like work with the puck yet. Even at the game I was at, I didn't really notice much. But I was impressed whenever I watched highlights and stuff. There was a highlight that's been going around recently of a goal he scored at like development camp in 2016 with the Red Wings. And it's this hilarious goal that he scores. He's on a one-on-one with a defender, and he literally just stick checks the defender. The defender loses his stick. Like the stick goes flying, and it just goes past the guy because the guy's got no stick anymore. But it looks like he doesn't know how to skate. and that's kind of how I would describe Bertuzzi. It is not a pretty look when you watch a stride. It's kind of just all over the place, really choppy when he stick handles too, but somehow it works. Like it's effective somehow. I don't know. He's probably like the number one enigma on the team. I think. Like I don't know what the hell we're gonna get from that guy. I hope it's good, but I don't know. He's just a question mark for me. He's gonna be good, but how good?
There was the picture of his headshot kind of like going around. I think it was like this past week. And dude, the guy's got like, obviously he's got the quintessential hockey look, long, flowy hair, missing a couple of teeth. Dude, if he is anything as advertised, which I think he should be, he will be. I know I said Matthew Nyes is going to be the fan favorite by the end of the year, but I still genuinely think Tyler Bertuzzi is going to be. Your 50-year-old uncle will be buying a Tyler Bertuzzi jersey by the end, and it's not just because it says Bertuzzi and it reminds him of Todd. But they're also going to probably, hopefully, genuinely, I hope we fall in love with Tyler Bertuzzi because I've heard mixed things on him. I would like to see the good outweigh more of the negatives that are going on. But again, like I said, I think I'm genuinely excited for the first time in a few years to watch
more than last year for sure. Right?
Definitely.
Like, what were we talking about last season? It was basically the goalies and
last year because we got bounced by Tampa. I think it wasn't as sour as the beginning of the year before when we got bounced by Montreal. I think that was like peak depression. That's like 5 years. But I probably haven't been excited to watch regular season Leaf hockey since Boston Part 1. Like after that season where it was like, okay, we lost to Boston again, but there's still that chance, I think that was JT's first year, 28. That's probably at my level of excitement, and we didn't sign anybody like JT. So, it's been
a Vigo. That's a good shout there. Like in terms of the year, that's probably the year. Yeah, I don't. You know what? At the same time, I'm thinking about the year that we lost Babs, and that was getting Tyson Berry. Like that was a huge trade. But it like went up in flames so quickly that I don't know. That was a roller coaster. I think you're right.
That whole saga, like that whole Kadri stuff, that could have been.
It was exhausting.
If Keefe had been there, maybe from the start, maybe But that whole season, from start to finish, I think even starting with that trade where you lose a fan favorite. Sometimes you love him. Sometimes you want to just grab him by his neck and ask him what the fuck he's doing. Starting from that Kadri trade all the way to we literally went through a life-changing pandemic in March of that year. Oh man,
but that's right. There was a whole damn pandemic in between that season.
that was that whole thing
too. Like it's just oh my god. Okay,
dude, that was hands down the longest season. But all that's to say, I'm pretty excited to start, and we get to talk about it every week. So that's plus number 2 for me.
I'm just going down the roster at this point. I know Brian's like, guys, shut up about the Leafs, man.
Shut up. I have to listen to this every single week, Brian. Don't worry.
I'm legitimately going down the entire camp roster and seeing who the hell I have thoughts about. Okay, so Simon Benoit. No.
Do you have any thoughts on Marshall Rifai, Christian?
Marshall Rifai, I was there for his game, and I learned his name that night. No, I got nothing on Rifai, but Noah Gregor, he's a guy. He's got certified guy status. He's making the team. Yep. I had said that he was the Zach Astor-Misa this year, and in the sense that he's a guy on a PTO who makes it on the team because he impressed in camp, that is true. But in terms of play style and whatever, he's basically just a Sam Lafferty clone. He's just Sam Lafferty, but left-handed. That's exactly what he is, man. Which is fine. That's good. Hey, we'll take that.
That's not bad at all.
Sam Lafferty,
PTO, $800K.
Granted, Sam Lafferty's probably been playing against guys that are at his skill level. I don't get all the hate on Sam Lafferty. I think he's adequate. I don't think he's fantastic by any stretch of the imagination, but he is a serviceable player, and I think Noah Gregor will fit in as a serviceable guy. That's all you need. Listen, third and fourth line for this team, you just need serviceable at this point.
He scored 10 goals last year. If he scores 10 goals for us, we'll take that. We'll take
I'll
that all day.
Heartbeat.
Honestly, the Sam Lafferty hate, it's all based on just the salary cap. And this is the other thing I want to get to is we're still not cap compliant here. Yeah. However, if Connor Timmins is out long term,
then you are.
He goes on LTIR. We then become cap compliant by the following moves. Gambrell, he's getting waived no matter what, so that doesn't matter. But specifically, Nick Robertson doesn't make this team, I don't think. You have to put him on the minors, and you have no healthy scratches, and you're running with all of the suspected names. Like no surprise player makes the roster. That gives you a 20-team roster with $600K in cap space. Oof. If Timmins is on LTIR, yeah, but if it's really damn close. If Timmins is not LTIR, we still have stuff to figure out. So that's why the Lafferty thing comes up because, they got to do something. And even when Timmins comes back, they're gonna have to do something. It's still up in the air. It's crazy that we still don't know this.
Any closing thoughts,
brought up to Nick. Closing thoughts. Nick Robertson. Okay, here's our closing thoughts. Literally 30 seconds here. I don't think he's making the team.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
listen, man, he's trying his butt off. He is trying his butt off. He has like a unique stride, and he's one of those guys that either works or doesn't. He's led the team in shots, like 17 shots, 7 more than anyone else, and he's got the 1 goal. It's just not working. It's It's no fault of his own, honestly, because of the injuries. But that's all I got.
Maybe he should,
marinate in the
like
minors.
Nashville, or ask for an opportunity elsewhere because it's time. I think.
I don't blame him if he does, but I love to see him get another shot mid-season, but he's not getting the shot to start the season. Yeah.
Anyway, Dave, closing thoughts. Fast.
I think honestly, I'm excited. That's about it.
Yeah,
I'm excited.
Shout out to
just know this. There's gonna be more thoughts next week too.
More preseason thoughts. If you want to get your Matthew Nyes jersey for the season.
Yeah, honestly, that's who I was.
I'm hopping on that one. Send me the link.
Yeah, send me the link. Matthew Nyes.
Hockey Night Canada. You can watch the second Leafs game of the season, which is on Hockey Night Canada against the Minnesota Wild, October 14th.
What a weird matchup.
Yeah,
but still watch.
Anyway, still watch. Yeah, and get football. Anyway, that's a wrap. We'll end it there.